Hello everyone and welcome to our Everything DiSC virtual showcase. Engage, connect, adapt, equipping your workforce to thrive. I'm Jo, co-founder of Coach Stretch and authorised partner of Wiley in the UK, and I'll be giving you an overview of Wiley's Everything DiSC product on their fantastic learning platform Catalyst. So let's get started with what we're going to dig into today. Firstly, some Wiley-led research around the rising need for human skills, more specifically social and emotional skills in the workplace. And from there, I'll introduce you to the Everything DiSC on Catalyst learning experience, including a demonstration of the Catalyst platform. Now, if you know Everything DiSC, you will know that the mission is simple. We exist to help people work better together. And the way people work together has changed a little in the last couple of years. Some organisations are 100% in person and some are 100% remote, and then there's quite a lot that are somewhere in between. So first I'd ask you to reflect on what best describes your organisation's working environment right now. Are you 100% in the office? Are you 100% remote, or are you a hybrid model? Well, one thing's for sure, whether it's in person or remote, it's safe to say that all of our work days are made up with interactive moments where we're engaging with other people, and whether those interactions take place through a screen or in person, they have a profound impact on our work experience, actually our entire lives really. What we don't always see is that how we navigate through these interactions can be improved if we develop our human skills. And most organisations do recognise the importance of human skills, more specifically those social and emotional skills. In fact, according to a recent study by our Wiley research team, strong social and emotional skills were ranked particularly important in a flexible working environment, second only to critical thinking. And as for their impact on employee experience, 82% of people surveyed agreed that the culture of their organisation would improve if they had stronger social and emotional skills. And more shockingly, 77% of those surveyed said that they had worked in an organisation where poorly developed social and emotional skills had created a toxic working environment. And I'm sure at some point we've all experienced a toxic environment that has caused a poor workplace experience or interaction, most likely linked to people's differences in their personalities and preferences in their communication styles. Now, whilst almost every leader surveyed said it was worth their time to develop the social and emotional skills of their team, only 10% strongly agreed that they know how to make that happen. And this gap right here is something that you all know. It's the result of things that you all understand very well, I'm sure. And that's that developing human skills is different from any other kind of skill. It's not like learning videography or maybe project management is fundamentally different. And that's because it requires that we recognise and we unlearn some really deep-seated behavioural patterns that have been shaped in a lifetime of experiences. It's hard work. In fact, how we develop these skills is often more important than the learning content itself. Now, maybe some of you today watching this already know DiSC, or maybe you've been using DiSC in your business for a long time, or maybe it's your very first introduction to DiSC today. To introduce or to recap, it's an assessment-based learning experience that was designed to teach participants to understand firstly their own preferences and tendencies in communication, and also to equally understand and value other styles. And it combines powerful personal insights from the assessment, which helps participants learn to stretch and navigate outside of their most natural communication style, thus enabling better communication and collaboration across the workplace. And it looks something like this. The DiSC model has evolved over time, being initially proposed in 1928 by Dr. William Moulton Marston in his book entitled Emotions of Normal People, and his studies of emotions and physical manifestations of emotional states. Now, it's based on the idea of two fundamental dimensions of human nature: And they're represented by these two axes you see. The vertical axis runs from active and outspoken at the top of the circle to the more thoughtful and reflective at the bottom of the circle. And the horizontal axis runs from accepting and warm on the right hand side of the circle to questioning and sceptical on the left hand side of the circle. And the intersection of these two dimensions creates the essential 4 basic DiSC styles, which have evolved over time into 12 blends. Now, for these skills to take hold and to be applied, a unique formula of personalisation, social learning and practice is required. And if you already have a feel for DiSC, you'll know that DiSC is excellent with personalisation. Our Everything DiSC is scientifically reliable and valid, and it delivers a 90% accuracy rating worldwide. And the narrative style content personalises the insights to more effectively help people understand themselves and others. But it's also social. You all can, through your L&D teams or with us, your authorised partner, bring these insights from the profile to life in live facilitation, either in person or virtually. And that itself inspires rich conversations and moments of realisations for your learners. And Wiley, always looking to develop their offering, asks themselves, well, how could they make DiSC more impactful for the learners and the organisations that serve them? And they realised that they could do better with this variable right here, practice. Better by ensuring that the real-world application and ongoing learning were part of the offering. So if you're asking yourself, why do I care about Everything DiSC on Catalyst, on this platform? Well, the answer is right here. By making practice and ongoing learning much easier than it is today. Because we all know if it's easier, it's much more likely to happen. All right, before I show you how, let's introduce DiSC on Catalyst. And as I said, it's a personal learning experience that equips people with the human skills they need to work better together with their colleagues, no matter who they are or where they are. It's familiar, it's the same DiSC that you know and love, but elevated to a whole new level. And it combines powerful, flexible facilitation with a powerful platform to help people better understand themselves, appreciate and value the differences in others, and then readily adapt to the unique needs of each person or situation they encounter consistently. And to give you a preview, I have a short video here.
Your office environment has changed, making the need to collaborate critical. Everything DiSC has proven to make workplace interactions more fun and effective by teaching people more about themselves and others. And now, no matter where your people are working, they can access the magic of Everything DiSC on a new platform we call Catalyst. It's simple. People take a brief assessment and discover their unique DiSC profile, offering them rich, personalized insights about themselves and others. Then, Catalyst turns insights into action with the new colleagues features where people can compare their DiSC styles and gain real-time tips for working better together. The colleagues feature helps people understand what their colleagues' strengths are, what they care about, when to pull them into a project for support, and what stresses them out. Whoa. It shows similarities and differences, and even compares preferences across a range of workplace behaviors, like where people focus their energy or their preferred pace. Go further with tips on demand that help your people work better together in a variety of situations like navigating tension, connecting, or effective collaboration. Everything DiSC on Catalyst also provides easy access to applications you know and love, like Workplace, Agile EQ, and more, making ongoing learning possible. And here's the cool part. Catalyst supports classroom and virtual training, creating a learning experience that inspires lasting change. So, whether your people are in the office, at home, or somewhere in between, Everything DiSC on Catalyst can help you shape a more engaged, collaborative workforce that works.
So, as you saw in the video, the promise of Everything DiSC on Catalyst is twofold. For your workforce, Everything DiSC on the Catalyst platform makes social and emotional growth possible dare I say even fun. And for your organisation, Everything DiSC on Catalyst supports an engaged, collaborative and adaptive culture that drives results from anywhere. Now, we believe we can deliver on these promises because this learning experience has been built to ensure lasting social and emotional growth and impact. Firstly, Everything DiSC on Catalyst offers each learner a highly personalised experience built on the foundation of DiSC, a simple yet powerful model that describes the 4 basic personality styles. Next, whilst personalised insights are a first great step, the real magic of Everything DiSC on Catalyst comes to life through the conversations and those aha moments that happen in group training experiences. The learning experience includes flexible, instructor-led facilitation, supported by us, your authorised partner, and empowered to customise this experience to meet your organisation's needs. Lastly, reshaping our behavioural patterns and improving our social and emotional effectiveness happens over time, and that's through repetition and affirmation and practice. And with Everything DiSC on Catalyst, your learners gain ongoing access to this Catalyst platform, which acts as your learners' home base for ongoing DiSC learning in class and also in the real world. And with Catalyst, learners get real-time tips for more effective interactions with their colleagues, thus bridging that gap between insights and action. So when you combine these 3 elements, a proven model, flexible facilitation and a powerful platform brought together to you with your authorised partner, this experience really does transform your typical once and done training into an ongoing learning process that delivers lasting impact. Yes, to each of your learners, but also for your organisation. So for the next 25 minutes, I'm going to walk you through the facilitated learning experience as I've just described it, and I'll show you how the Catalyst platform enhances the learning. And for any of you watching that know DiSC well, you may recognise this experience as a refactoring of our best-selling Everything DiSC workplace profile. Except instead of it being a once and done event, now it's an ongoing learning process. So for the purpose of today, I'd like to introduce you to my friend, Matteo. Matteo is a financial analyst at KRT Industries, and that's a manufacturing company. And like us, Matteo and his colleagues transitioned to working from home back in 2020, but some years later, Matteo is working a hybrid 50-50 role, and some of his colleagues are on site now 100%. So KRT Industries are continuing with facilitating some training and development, and Matteo has just been invited to participate in the Everything DiSC learning experience. So through Matteo's eyes, I'll show you how learners get started. I'll walk you through the personalised content on the Catalyst platform and how that coincides with instructor-led facilitation. And then finally, we will preview how KRT Industries can keep DiSC alive long after his first experience to ensure we create a culture of DiSC. So it all starts with an email inviting Matteo to create his Catalyst account online. And once he completes his registration process, he's then redirected to the Catalyst homepage and he's invited to take an assessment. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the Everything DiSC on Catalyst assessment is built on nearly 50 years of DiSC research and expertise. And it measures the 2 central aspects of personality, and that is pace and acceptance. So each question asks participants to respond to behavioural statements on a 5-point scale. And the assessment uses computer adaptive testing technology, it's a mouthful, which means the assessment may generate additional questions based on how participants respond. Our assessment has earned a 90% plus accuracy rating from learners worldwide, and personally in the UK, over the hundreds I've done, we've reprofiled people 4, maybe 5 times from those that have answered in a particular way and don't feel comfortable with the outcome. But Matteo has completed his assessment and he now has access to the Catalyst platform. This brings us to the personalised part of Matteo's experience. And this is where the personalised content on the Catalyst platform combines with instructor-led facilitation and starts to create those aha moments that inspire long-term behavioural change. Now, KRT Industries is starting with Everything DiSC on Catalyst base experience, which is structured into 5 short format learning modules laid out here. This is your DiSC style, your colleagues, what drives you and other styles, and building better relationships. Now, each module can be conducted in person or a virtual setting and is designed to be self-contained, so they can be facilitated on their own or in conjunction with others. Now, the facilitation can be tailored to a wide range of times, locations, group size, any constraints depending on your needs. And KRT Industries have opted for virtual training spread over 4 weeks, with each session lasting 90 minutes or less. The first session covers the fundamentals of DiSC with the Your DiSC style and your colleagues. And in Your DiSC style, Matteo and his colleagues will watch the introduction video that I shared with you earlier as a way to introduce them to the DiSC model. And we'll kick off facilitation with an activity called Build the Room. This teaches the basics of DiSCs, the DiSC model, and gives Matteo and his colleagues a new way to understand themselves and others. From there, he will explore his own DiSC style, and then he'll learn to bring DiSC into his everyday interactions. Now, Matteo, along with his colleagues, are asked to see themselves in communication at work. Firstly, by looking at the continuum that represents 2 opposing tendencies, pace and acceptance. The top end is fast-paced and outspoken, and the bottom end is cautious and reflective. It might be fun for you to try this yourselves. Where would you land on this continuum? Try not to put yourself in the middle, be more decisive if you can. And let's see what happens if I ask you to think about that in a different way. The left side is questioning and sceptical, whilst the right-hand side is accepting and warm. And then when we look at these continue together, we get 4 distinct regions start to form. And depending on your choice, if you pick the top left, you get fast-paced and outspoken. Your placement is in the upper left quadrant. If you picked fast-paced and outspoken, accepting and warm, your upper right. Cautious and reflective and accepting and warm places you in the lower right quadrant, whilst cautious and reflective and questioning and sceptical places you in the lower left. And what you'll notice here is that this is a really simple exercise to give you all a sense of your DiSC style. Of course, this may be your style or your lead style, but don't forget I mentioned there are 12 blends, so there is a lot more to uncover. Now, Matteo is introduced to this model in the same way in facilitation, and his facilitator asks the same questions, but he presents them on a continuum where the learners are asked to add their names to a whiteboard. And then Matteo is more cautious and reflective than he is fast-paced and outspoken. And on his second continuum, Matteo feels he is much closer to the centre, leaning slightly towards accepting. And what he sees is that these 2 answers plot him in the S-style region of the DiSC map. And in fact, it gives him a blend of an SC style. Now, the group are asked to explore the Catalyst platform and review their personalised narratives on the Your DiSC style page. And from my experience, this is where we see a lot of head nodding and chuckling as people share, and they realise what it feels to read about themselves, and those kind of aha moments of realisation come to life. Now, the dot placement helps Matteo understand that a dot closer to the outside of the map means he will be more likely to resonate with the tendencies of his style, whilst a dot closer to the centre, he may be less so. So Matteo's DiSC map also represents his behavioural comfort zone through the shading you can see, and this helps him really understand the kind of activities and attitudes that may come naturally to him, as well as those that may be more of a stretch. So Matteo can now see his S-style story come to life, and it starts to help him better understand himself and how he prefers to work. So to close out this module, each learner writes down 3 things that they want their colleagues to know about working with them, and they share them with the group. And for Matteo, the three things that jumped out most for him in his style story were that he prioritises a stable, harmonious environment, and that he makes an effort to do things right the first time because he wants to be known as someone who people can count on. And because of this, he likes to carefully consider all possibilities before making a decision, especially high-risk decisions. And we often hear here that learners start to reframe how they see themselves during this module. All of a sudden, those behaviours and those tendencies that were operating right outside of their awareness are brought into the forefront, and it's the first step in improving their effectiveness in the workplace. Now, this process goes one step further in the next module, titled Your Colleagues, where participants learn how to use the Catalyst platform to better understand their colleagues, and they start to discover ways to work more effectively with one another. Now, before we jump into the next bit, let's revisit Matteo's Catalyst profile to show you his Your Colleagues feature. In this section, he'll find people cards for each person in his organisation. And this is such a powerful part of the platform where you can learn about someone's style whilst gaining real-time tips for interacting with them more effectively. This feature offers learners a way to apply what they are learning in the DiSC training into their daily work lives by drilling down through key relationship issues. And our newest feature, Get Advice, helps you tackle 4 common problems with your co-workers by giving insights, advice, and actionable tips. Now, in facilitation, participants are paired up to take part in an activity called Finding Common Ground, which brings these people cards to life. And Matteo is partnered with his colleague, Alyssa Page. That's his friend in operations. On the Catalyst platform, Matteo sees Alyssa's people card, and he can see that she is an SI style, that she's accommodating, and that she enjoys brainstorming and is enthusiastic and social. And he thinks, yeah, that sounds like Alyssa. So from this exercise, Matteo learns that Alyssa is always ready to offer support and collaborate and be a team player, that she cares about maintaining harmony, and that she is stressed out by being isolated or in an unsocial environment. He continues to scroll and he sees how visually his DiSC map compares to Alyssa's, and he gets a summary of his and Alyssa's similarities and differences. And he sees that they both dislike being aggressive. They both look for compromises and are both tactful. But Matteo can tend to be more calm and private, whereas Alyssa tends to be quite energetic and expressive, which starts to uncover common ground for them working together. Now, also in this section, they see how they compare with each other in a variety of behaviours using these continua like accommodating versus strong-willed, tactful versus frank, and focused on realities versus possibilities. Matteo spots that they are on opposite ends of some of the continua, so he decides to click on the detail. And he gets a summary of their comparisons, and you can see that Matteo is very focused on possibilities, and he prioritises tangible benefits in this area, whereas Alicia likes to brainstorm and be a big picture thinker. Now, at the bottom of the page, Matteo reviews common workplace scenarios like navigating tension or collaborating, and in each one of these scenarios he is offered benefits and roadblocks as well as tips that can make their interactions more effective and their relationship much more enjoyable. So to close out this module, Matteo and Alyssa are sent into breakout rooms to discuss one of the continuum that they found interesting, as well as how that similarity or difference is reflected in the way that they work together. So you're starting to see how the Catalyst platform and facilitation work together to foster rich conversations that make learning real, contextualise the learning to their day-to-day work lives, and make practice and thus growth much more possible. Now, with that, Matteo and his colleagues move on to Module 2, What Drives You? And in this module, It's all about deepening a self-understanding using the DiSC model. So participants will explore the priorities that drive them during the workday, see how they compare to other styles, and then start to think about ways that they can be more effective at work. Now here learners are introduced to their workplace priorities. These are the primary areas where people focus their energy at work. And these are the words associated around the outside of the map you can see. Most learners will have 3 priorities, some 4, maybe 5. These words are all associated with the shading around their dot placement, which I spoke about earlier. And in some cases, as I said, there are additional priorities, like this example of an IS style, where in addition to enthusiasm, collaboration and support, this person also prioritises results. Now, having an SC style, Matteo prioritises maintaining stability, giving support, ensuring accuracy, but he also has a 4th priority of taking action. And this is represented by the extended shading at the top of the DiSC map. Now, working through the what drives you element on the Catalyst platform, Matteo gets deeper insights into each 4 of his priorities, and he goes further to learn about what motivates him and equally what stresses him out in the workplace. And to bring these behavioural priorities to life and their motivators and stressors, the facilitator asks the learners to go into breakout rooms with others of a similar style. And they need to create a poster of a good and a bad day using the new insights that they've learned from Catalyst and their own experiences. Now, Matteo is with the S-style group, and their best and worst day results look something like this. For an S-style best day, it might include things like collaborating with others on meaningful work, whereas a worst day might include rushing through to get things done, or even having conflict with friends or co-workers. Now, the D-style group, well, they've got a very different poster of their best day and worst day. Even visually, it's quite different. The D-style group, which includes Matteo's colleague Dominic, show that a best day might include getting a challenging project across the finish line, whereas a worst day might include rehashing decisions that had already been made, or even tiptoeing around to keep the peace. So from here, the group starts to look at a range of workplace activities by DiSC style. And they see and they start to appreciate how they're all motivated and equally stressed out by differing activities in the workplace, which are highlighted as they start to speak about which activities they feel most comfortable with and most uncomfortable doing. And to close out this session, Matteo is redirected back to the Catalyst platform, where he finds personalised strategies to help him be more effective at work. He is asked to choose one particular strategy, and he chooses his 3rd strategy right here, and he creates an action plan to put behaviour change into practice. So I'm sure you can start to see how this experience helps participants reframe the way they see themselves through the lens of different DiSC styles. And the next module, which is You and Other Styles, is a 60-minute module that flips the focus from self-awareness and understanding to better understanding and appreciating others, where learners start to see and appreciate how each of their colleagues brings something different and valuable to the table. So the aim here is to help the learners use DiSC to better understand the people that they work with, shed some light on how they tend to react to different DiSC styles, and then lastly, apply those insights into a relationship that they have already in the workplace. So here, participants are introduced to video segments of 4 co-workers that are struggling to work together on a group project. These characters depict a wide range of behaviours associated with their respective DiSC styles. And through these videos, learners get a chance to see the risks of not understanding their own tendencies as they relate to DiSC, but also the challenges that can arise when they don't fully understand others' behaviours. So at this point, to help participants learn more about one style and their reaction to that style, each person is asked to think of someone they'd like to work more effectively with. Now for Matteo, his meeting last week with Dominic did not go as well as he'd hoped, so he picks Dominic, who has a D style. And then learners are asked to navigate to the You and Other Styles feature within the workplace section of Catalyst. And Matteo reads about the D style that Dominic has. And though the content on the platform is personalised to Matteo and his own style, so even when reading about other styles, he would see it through his lens. So as a D style myself, the narrative would be different here to what Matteo is seeing through the lens of an SC style. He reads through what motivates his D style colleague, and he starts to make more sense of their different priorities. As he scrolls through, Matteo reaches a section of videos called In Their Own Words, and these provide deeper insights into the other styles, and they're in the main less than 1 minute, so they're a real easy insight to watch, and they're available for each style. Now, to close out this module, participants are asked to talk about the aspects of the different styles that they now appreciate and that they understand better. And in style groups, they share some of the strengths of the differing styles that they discussed. And in this way, everyone gets an opportunity to learn about the strengths and the superpowers of every style. So Matteo's group discussed the D style, and they shared that some of the strengths that they bring to the workplace include speaking up about difficult issues, fighting for what they believe in, and also pushing teams to achieve ambitious goals. Now, with these newfound insights, Matteo is really starting to understand Dominic a lot better. Okay, we're on the home stretch now. The fifth and final module, Build Better Relationships, is a shorter 55-minute module designed to help participants learn personalised strategies for building more effective relationships with one style of their choosing. Specifically, they learn to work more effectively with others, and we sometimes have to bridge those differences in our work style by adapting our approach, and DiSC provides a framework to help you do that. Participants will also learn how to incorporate DiSC into their workday so that they can practice using DiSC to build more effective relationships in real time. Okay, to kick off this session, participants actively learn how to connect with other DiSC styles. So first they select a person that they'd like to work more effectively with, they identify that person's DiSC style, and then they visit the Catalyst platform to see tips for working more effectively with that particular DiSC style. Now during this section, Matteo is going to focus on Dominic and the D style, and he wants to continue learning a little bit more after he's already been practicing in between with the insights that he's gained. So he pops back on to the Catalyst platform and navigating to the third module of the workplace application, Building Better Relationships. The platform offers him 3 personalised strategies for working and connecting more effectively with each DiSC style. Matteo scrolls to the first situation where you need to be more effective, and he learns that because of their shared action for priority, he can actually identify with the D style's desire to solve problems rapidly. Now it offers pragmatic, actionable tips for navigating the situation in the real world, like reminding Matteo to speak up about his concerns and emphasising that he has a shared desire to act quickly. So the platform also offers up other people with the D style that you're looking at in the form of people cards, and this is for quick navigation to other people with that style. Now as the session nears its end, participants watch 4 videos, and these are the characters that we met earlier on. But this time, they're discussing what they've learnt about how to work more effectively with someone of that chosen style. We're going to watch one of these videos now. We'll be back in 2 minutes.
So Sally, what can we say about Sally?
Well, she's decisive. She pushes us out of our comfort zones, and that gets us to a place we never really expected.
Yeah, and if we get stuck, she's the one who gets us moving again. And Oh, just say it. It's not a big deal.
Okay, well, you can be a little intense and kind of intimidating. Honestly, I get a little nervous when we disagree.
Actually, I like your intensity. But it can seem kind of impatient at times, and it makes it seem like you're not listening. But I get it. I get that you are driven and you want to get things done.
Yeah, I think that's what I was trying to get at. When you jump in with what you think should happen, it can feel kind of abrupt. And before, my first reaction was like, does she think I'm going to screw this up? But now I realize it's because you want to get things done.
And that's why I try to get to the point quickly. Or, quicker. And I used to get really upset when you were blunt. But now I know not to take it personally.
Yeah, same here. I just need to keep reminding myself it's not about me.
Actually, it doesn't bother me if you're blunt. I like that you get to the point. But you do move a little too fast sometimes, at least for me. You're always pushing things out the door, and I'd rather extend the deadline and make sure we get it right.
I want things to be right, too. Just not perfect. At least not every time.
Yeah, I know there is a balance, and I'm getting better about asking myself, is she right, or do I need to push for more time?
Well, if you think you need to push, just go for it. I have no problem confronting someone, so I forget how much harder that is for other people. I just, you guys have to say something. If you don't, I'll just think everything is good. So just tell me if there is an issue. And I hope that these kind of conversations keep getting easier.
Okay, so as you've seen today, by simply understanding yourself and others through the lens of the DiSC model, people can really begin to see their colleagues in a completely different way. And not only that, with pragmatic strategies personalised to their own DiSC style, learners can apply what they've learned into everyday interactions. As for Matteo, he's reached the end of his DiSC on Catalyst experience, and he's learned about himself, he's learned about his friend Alyssa, and he's also learned about Dominic. Now, facilitation may have ended, but the learning does not stop there. Remember that we said everything DiSC on Catalyst is ongoing. Its culture-focused process is designed to keep DiSC alive in your organisation long after that initial training. Learners continue to access the Catalyst platform, using it as a personalised tool to help them practice their new social and emotional skills that they've learned. And they also gain access to our brand new Your Groups feature, designed to help teams work better together. And this is simple, it's fun, and it's an interactive tool that combines DiSC with actionable group insights to help build team cohesion and adapt their behaviour for optimal results. Now, I've seen this used to such great effect in a fintech that I've worked with. Between a marketing team who were predominantly I styles and a product team who were predominantly C styles, quite clearly opposites. They clashed constantly, trying to shape out a balance between ideas and creativity and the need for clarity and detail and realistic timelines. But plotting both departments on a group map and digging into their differences and similarities really helped them visually see the gaps that needed to be bridged, and the insights it highlighted, along with those actionable tips, helped them forge much better working relationships. So in addition to ongoing access, everything DiSC on Catalyst makes it easy to extend your learner's DiSC journey into more applications. There's Agile EQ, which is designed to develop the emotional intelligence necessary for a thriving agile culture. Or there's Everything DiSC on Management, which prepares managers to successfully engage, motivate, and develop their teams. That concludes our showcase for today. I hope you found this session really helpful in understanding how it combines DiSC with flexible facilitation and a powerful platform to help your learners and your organisations shape an engaged culture that is collaborative, that helps drive performance. Please feel free to reach out if you have any questions, or if you would like a sample profile, or even to see a demonstration of the platform live through our Culture Stretch demo account. Otherwise, thank you very much for your time today.